Hello, and welcome back to another episode of More Than Milestones. I am so incredibly excited to be joined today by the incredible Dr. Hanaa Ghannoum, who is a parenting coach with her PhD in early childhood and curriculum studies, certifications in conscious parenting, and she's the founder of Peace Within Home, which is an incredible parenting space for Muslim and God-centered parents who are ready to raise their children with calm, confidence, and connection, and for all parents who want less yelling, less reacting, and more intention. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I'm so excited to chat with you again. It's been years since we talked, so this is really exciting.
I am so excited, and I'm glad that we were able to make it right here, especially with the time difference. But I'm so
Yes.
excited for today.
Yay! So, we are going to be talking all things intentional and connected parenting, raising kids, re raising ourselves with more confidence, care, and calm. And we're also going to touch a little bit on sibling dynamics and then also navigating friendships. So, this is going to be an info packed episode. But I would love, Dr. Hannah, if you could just start by telling us a little bit about you. Where can people find your work? Where can people, what is your heart in all of this?
Okay, so I would like to start off by saying that I'm a mom to three beautiful kids who teach me and test me every single day of my life. And I like to start here because I think this is like a foundation of everything that I do and the experience that I continuously practice and grow into. And as you said, I am also a parenting coach, an early childhood educator, and the founder of Peace Within Home. And at the heart of my work in Peace Within Home is that, you know how I say peace within home? And peace here for me is not actually your physical home. It actually starts with your body. Your home, your first home is your body. When you're able to create peace within your own home, then you're going to be able to create peace within your own physical home, then within relationships, the community, and beyond. So that is at the heart of what I do is helping parents to be able to create more peace within their home, which starts with their body.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And where can people find you on social media and all of your incredible resources, all the things?
So I have an Instagram page called drhannah.peace within home. That is my main social media space. And of course, the website www.peacewithinhome.com.
I love it. Okay. Let's get into it. And we're gonna link as we chat, if there's any resources we mention or anything like that, we will put all of that in the episode notes so that you guys can find her, get everything, get all the good stuff. But let's get into it. So you kind of just touched on this a little bit, but I feel like it would be good to start in this first part, digging into what really makes a peaceful and safe home, because I think many of us would agree that it's our biggest goal. But sometimes it can feel daunting if perfection feels like an unattainable task. So what does it really mean when you say a peaceful and safe home?
I love that question because it takes me to this one specific word you said, which is perfection. So I think the first place to start as parents is to let go of perfection, trying to be that perfect parent, right? Trying to create that peaceful home is what actually stops us from creating a peaceful home. We expect ourselves to be perfect. And that quietly trickles down to our kids too, right? We unconsciously start thinking, well, I took that course, I read that book, I did all of these things, I'm doing all of the tips that I heard, and my child is still throwing tantrums, my child is still giving me a hard time, my child is still making the same exact mistake, right? So instead of thinking, I want to create this perfect, peaceful home, what if we embodied and embraced the messy part, the imperfect part,
Mhm.
the process, the good and the challenging, right? All of that is actually part of life, right? All of that is part of practice. And so instead of trying to think to ourselves, how can I create this peaceful, perfect home? What if we embrace the idea of what if I can be a practicing mom, a
Mm.
mom who practices every day, practices to make better choices, practice to do better, practice to repair, practice to slow down, practice to feel. We're always practicing something, right? We're either practicing to tense up or we're practicing to like pause and expand and soften. Right now I can practice to be in this call and feel like, oh, okay, I better get it all right and say, all of the right words. Or I can just say, hey, I'm going to be here, I'm going to share what I have, and I'm going to allow the process to be. Right? The only time we stop practicing is the time that we are no longer here. So if you are here, you're practicing. And the question here is, what are you choosing to practice? So I think the first thing is embracing the idea of practice, that we're constantly practicing. The second thing is shifting your mindset that your child is also practicing, right? That they will mess up, that they will have moments where you just told them to do something and they did the complete opposite thing. And in this moment, you're going to ask yourself, what am I going to practice right now? What does my child need? What type of skill do they need to practice? Or what need is going unmet for my child that they need to, that need needs to get met? So holding space that your child is also a human who's also practicing. And then third is keeping keep your bringing yourself back into the present moment. Most of our triggers actually come from us fast forwarding to the future, which is
Uh-huh.
usually rooted in fear. What if my child keeps on doing that? Will they be able to cope? Am I doing what I need, for my child to do when they are 25? Right? Fear is anchoring our thoughts when we move fast forward. And then the other space that we sometimes go to is to the past. And past usually is rooted in the emotion of sadness and grief, the things that we didn't get, that we hoped we would get, or we got, but we didn't get, or the experience that our kids went through, and we hope that they would have a different experience. So a lot of the times, we're in that space of sadness and grief of what didn't happen, or what we hoped for it to happen, but didn't happen. So the sweet spot is going back into bringing yourself back into the present moment. And a really good practice that I do all the time when I feel like my mind is really overwhelmed or spiraling is I move to the furthest space away from my head, which is my feet.
Oh, I love that.
I feel my feet. I feel, is it cold? Is it hot? Where do I feel tightness? So I move away from what my mind is trying to tell me. Look at that kid doing that again, right? Ah, they will always be this way, to like, okay, let me feel my feet. And I always like to remind myself that my muscles are actually not what is holding me up, but my bones are. So I can relax my muscles.
I love that.
And
I
then
have
I
to tell
take
you.
it, yeah.
No, go ahead, go ahead. I want you to finish, but I have to tell you
And
this.
I was going to say, take a deep breath. And why do I say take a deep breath? It's because that's the only thing you can actually do now, right? You can't breathe for 2 minutes later, and you can't breathe like, the past, but you can just breathe for right here, right now. And when I'm right here, right now, I can remind myself, hey, today is Feb 4th, 2026, not 2036. And my child is only 7 years old, and we can get through this together.
Okay, so, I'm, like, trying not to cry because for those of you guys that are listening, Dr. Hannah is in Dubai right now, so it's, like, 8:45 in the morning for me, but it's the evening for her, and so I just got my kids out the door to school, and we have been having a hard time with one of my kids who is definitely more sensitive, and she's been struggling at school with kind of just some situations that have come up with both teachers and students, and just, like, she's just so gentle and kind, and she takes everything in that she feels around her, and so this morning she really didn't wanna go to school, and she was crying and telling me that her stomach hurt and she felt like she was gonna be sick, and I know because I, as a child, experienced anxiety as well, I know that that feeling in her stomach is the worry, right? So, like,
Mm.
sitting with her, trying to name it, and as you were just saying all of that, so, like, obviously, it was not a great morning. It was, like, 45 minutes of her crying, me feeling like a monster but I'm like, we're gonna talk through this, and I want you to try to go to school." And I like, listening to you say that, it's like, you're 100% right. There was so much of me that was trying to be in the moment, but, like, thinking about younger me, Casey, and, like, I wish that I had been given tools to, like, f be able to work through it and not have it consume me, and then also, like, future her and being like, "I so desperately don't want this to be the way she feels every morning, like, how do I, like, fix that?" You know? Anyway, okay, next question before I start to cry. So, I knew coming on with you that this was gonna happen because you always do this to me. You, like, hit me right in my heart, which I love, but okay. So, I think one of the other really powerful things that you said is about meeting mistakes with compassion over fear, and I've seen you say that so many times on your page, and when you were just speaking about that, not only was I thinking about the compassion that we're trying to give to our kids, but it's also to us, like, that we are doing this for the first time too. Like, we are also just humans trying to figure it out. Like, yeah. Okay. So moving onwards, can we talk about one of my favorite quotes of yours? And it was actually one of your captions, and I screenshot it and I actually have it in a note in my phone that I refer back to. And so I'm going to read it really quickly, and then I would love for you to just kind of speak to us on it. So you had said that I am committed to creating a safe home, a home where my kids know they can come to me, not just when things are good, but when they've messed up, fallen apart, or don't know what to do next. I want them to know that my love isn't dependent on behavior, that their mistakes won't be met with shame, but with support, that they are safe even when they struggle. I want my home to be their refuge, their soft place to land, the space where they're reminded of who they are and whose they are. Can we talk about what that really means for you? And more importantly, how can parents begin implementing small, tangible things to shift towards creating a home like that, if that is our goal too, which I think for so many of us it is?
That is beautiful. And it really goes back to a lot of the things that I said, which is to be able to embrace practice and letting go of perfection. Like, I want you to think of yourself when you walk into a house. What makes this home one that you always go back to?
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, a place that allows you to be your raw self. Like, what a home that would make me want to come back to this space is a home where I know I can just be me. And I'm not going to be judged. I'm not going to be shamed. I'm not going to be watched or
Mm,
controlled, right? A home that will allow me to make mistakes without being shamed. Instead, hey, we're all practicing. That's
I love that.
so, so, so powerful for me when I think of this word practice. Hey, you made a mistake. Okay, let's figure it out together, right? Someone that will guide me when I am lost, one that has boundaries that are clear, right? And one that is full of connection.
Mm,
So, all of these don't come if we tried to have a home that had a perfect living room and a nice bookshelf, and we had to have those perfect type of meals, this would make me feel like, oh my goodness, like I have to kind of like sit in a specific way and
yeah.
being presented differently. And that same idea of what type of home would you go back to is at the heart of what kind of home do you want to create for your own kids?
Mm,
So
I love
practically speaking is we always have to focus on building moments of connection. And it doesn't have to be, big grand moments. It could simply be um smiling, making sure that the first thing that you do when you see them is you give them a hug,
mm,
right? Say they come back from school today. Let's say your daughter comes back to, hey, I was thinking about you today. I missed you so much,
Mm,
right? Imagine the power of connecting in those small pockets of time during the day. I love the way you did that. Right. So we're building that connection capital. Why? Because we are going to be setting a lot of boundaries too. We're going to be saying no. And that is the other element. Boundaries are so important to have. They are what creates the safety net for our children. If the house has no boundaries, no clear boundaries or consistent boundaries, we can feel lost. We can actually feel unsafe. Why? Because there's no predictability of what is happening.
mm.
And then allowing mistakes to happen and embracing them as part of life, of part of being, and that, hey, I messed up today and I'm your parent and I know I could have done better. Can we give it another try? How powerful is that?
I love that. I love that so much, and it feels feasible, which is often not how it can feel sometimes in the parenting space. So I would love, before we get into friendships and relationships outside the home, I would love to kind of build on the safety within home and the peace within our homes and talk just a little bit about sibling conflict and supporting sibling dynamics, because I know for me, one of the things as my kids have gotten older that has been really challenging at times is navigating the sibling conflicts and relationships, because I desperately want them to like love and respect each other and be friends forever, while also understanding that the way that they interact together shapes a lot of their outside the house relationships as well. So, what are the different types of conflicts and like sibling conflicts in your eyes?
Okay, I think let's start off with understanding why does the parent actually gets triggered in the first place. Because I
Mm,
feel like when we start there, we're able to understand and shift what we want. We can understand, why am I getting so irritated here? Why does every single time my kids are, arguing, I'm right here in this space where I'm feeling like please stop it. Right. And you said something so beautiful, beautiful. You said you desperately want your kids to love and respect each other well into adulthood.
mhm.
And if we pause here, what without realizing what you did is you took us 10 to 20 years into the future.
Do you know how often in my head I should get tattooed on my forehead, "Be where your feet are," because it is something I repeat to myself all day long. But yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah, so where that brings is that fear. Oh my goodness, will my kids grow up to love each other? Will they be good, have a close relationship? So it brings that emotion of fear when I just look at this moment. Hey, my child is, 7 and 10. I'm like their relationship in the future. Right.
Yeah.
So recognizing that, I think, is really, really important for us before we talk about, okay, what type of conflict. The conflict itself for us creates that trigger. And we need to pause and remind ourselves, okay, there is a skill that needs to be learned. Another beautiful thing about sibling conflict is that it is the best playground for our kids to learn how to navigate relationships. This is the safe space for our kids to have these type of conflicts and misunderstandings and arguments in a safe space.
Mhm.
What we want to do is we want to teach them how to navigate it instead of how to stop it, right? We're not looking to how can we eliminate and stop conflicts altogether. Our role is, okay, how can I navigate my child to go through those type of relationships? Because the truth is, if you are in a relationship, doesn't matter what, whether coworkers, whether at home, whether family, whether friends, conflict will happen.
Mm.
Misunderstandings, tensions, and sometimes ruptures will happen. So how can I teach them? Okay, these will happen. Doesn't make the relationship bad. It's like, okay, how can we work through it and repair and get back together? That is definitely possible. The other layer that I've been actually reflecting a lot more on lately is this layer of complexity when it's between your son and daughter, a girl and a
Mm.
boy, right? There
Mhm.
is that deeper level of trigger underneath that surface. And
Mhm.
it's something that the reaction there comes from a lot of the cultural messages or social messages or the things that we experienced, as growing up or witnessing others experience, which is rooted in like identity, fairness, protection, or power, right?
Mhm.
That we may not even realize we're carrying with us. So all of a sudden, my son, let's say, and my daughter are in a conflict, and my head is going like, I don't want my son to be speaking to my daughter this way, right? He
Mhm.
cannot, she should stand up for herself. But if the same exact thing happened between the sons, the two boys, I don't think the same level of tension might
Yeah.
surface. So I say this because it's so important for us to also remind ourselves, okay, what is the tool that I want to teach right now? And when I am aware, like, oh, look at that, part of me is feeling so triggered because my son did that to my daughter. It has nothing to do with my son and my daughter, right? It has to
Right.
do with the narratives that I am carrying with me. Okay,
Mhm.
they're unable to share this toy. This is what I need to focus on. I'm going to help them through that. Does that
I
help?
love that. Yes, I love that. That absolutely helps. And so, w one of the next pieces, I guess my question is, how can parents really begin navigating sibling conflict, maybe even before the conflicts arise? And I think a lot of that you just touched on, but I'd love for you to talk in a way that supports the sibling dynamics and our child's unique personalities. Because, and to give context to this specific question, when I was writing up this outline, I was thinking a lot about how my kids' personalities inherently, if I am not checking myself, play a big role in how I speak to them, right? So like for example, my oldest is definitely on the more sensitive side. I know how I need to talk to her. I know how I need to handle her. I know how she needs to be supported. My middle is the most go with the flow. She just wants to make you happy, make you laugh, and I don't want her to be a people pleaser. I will literally say to her, "You are allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to yell. You're allowed to do all the things that you see Livia or Audie and Bubba do. Like you don't have to be good all the time. You don't always have to be listening." And it makes me also like there are times where if she is having a moment, it's so foreign to me and I almost don't know how to handle it. And I'm like, Livy, you're fine. Come on, babe. Enough. You're fine. Where I would never do that to the oldest because I know because it happens more often. So it got me thinking about the fact that like I don't ever want her to feel like she doesn't have the space to have those moments. And I don't know. Anyway, so I'm curious what your thoughts are on supporting sibling dynamics and those conflicts while also really respecting and honoring like the inherent personality and characteristics of each child.
Okay, so I think here understanding um, some of the different conflicts that do arise, and then one of the biggest preventatives of conflict is, first of all, let's talk about the different conflicts. One is there's this competition piece in siblings, right? It's just a natural part of this type of relationship. They are competing for your attention, for your love, and the feeling of being seen and valued within the family, right? This is just part of how the family system works. And then with that comes every single human need, every single human core needs are these three core needs, which is safety, belonging, and dignity, right? So all the time the siblings are trying to navigate that. Plus, of course, you're trying to navigate it, and everybody else is navigating this sense of belonging, dignity, and safety. So these emotions can come up when it comes to um, competition. Am I still loved? Right? Especially true during transitions where, let's say, a baby starts to crawl. Ooh, a lot of attention goes there, right? An older child hits a milestone. academically, sports wise. All of these kind of bring up this feeling to the child. Am I still loved here? Right? Is still room for me? Do I belong in this family? So these are things that just kind of happen naturally within a family system. And then the third one is the developmental piece of birth order, right? The eldest is like, the first got all of the attention. Suddenly another child shows up, and now he needs to be able to navigate. Okay, do I still have that sense of belonging the same way I did before this sibling? And then the younger child is always looking up to the older child. What is fair, what is not fair, feeling jealous, feeling frustrated, or wanting to do things that the older child is doing that they can't do, and all
Mm,
of that. And of course, then comes the, you know, other conflicts that show up when it comes to like toys, and I want this toy and you want that toy, or a boundary that you set with one child and not with the other child because of
mhm,
the age difference and all of that. But one of the most powerful tools to be able to reduce conflict and build the child regardless of their personality is one-on-one time.
mm,
One-on-one time is one of those, this is the most powerful thing you can do for your child. And the thing is, a lot of people don't take the step to do one-on-one time because they think big. Oh, one-on-one time? That means it has to be something big. It has to be an outing. It has to be, an hour long. But it could be a 5 minute. Hey, I've got 5 minutes. Let's do something together,
mm.
making sure there's no phone, no distractions, no siblings, just really having that time with your child. Yes, you can intentionally plan, a whole afternoon with one of your kids, right? It requires you putting it as a priority, and you'll be so surprised by how much conflict actually reduces. For me, when I see a lot of conflict in my house, I was like, oops, okay, here you go. It's time for one-on-one.
I
Let me
love
make sure I
that.
put that into my schedule this week.
Yeah.
Right. And then the other one that is so powerful and I think not talked about often is helping the child look inwards instead of outwards.
Mm,
Because we get trapped into, this idea of fairness. In our house, we actually say, I don't do fair. I do what the child actually needs. Being fair is actually not fair. I can't be treating my 15-year-old like my 17 and my 7-year-old,
yeah.
right? Instead, what we focus on is what is my 15-year-old's needs? What is my 7-year-old's needs? So I do tell my kids, oh, we don't do fair in this house. We do what each person needs instead. And what that does is that it moves a child from always looking, oh, who got this, who went first, who is getting less, who's getting more, and more focused on what's happening inside each child. So naming it, validating it, and supporting them through it.
I love it. Um, oh god, you're amazing. I love it. I
I actually have
oh,
a whole course on um, sibling conflict, by the way. So that is also a very good resource if you're interested.
and we will absolutely link that in the episode notes because yes, yes. Immediately, yes. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about is there anything else that you feel like is important for us to understand about sibling conflicts or before we move on or connecting with our children without constantly intervening in sibling conflicts? Anything else you want to share on that piece?
Mm, sure. So, what I can say on that is don't always feel the need that you have to fix, especially during sibling conflict. I like to always say something like, hey, I see two amazing human beings who are having a very hard time with this. You know what? I believe in you and I know you will figure it out. And stepping back, right? Sometimes naming what we're seeing and helping them through it, great, but not taking a side. But I feel like when we put those words of I believe in you and I know you will figure it out, it's like, ooh, the child
Right.
feels empowered. And with no time, you will see them actually um, solving the conflicts. And as the kids get older, conflicts will change. He took my t-shirt and I told him not to take my t-shirt.
Mm,
Right?
yeah.
He took my jeans that I really love, and I told him this morning, you can't take my jeans. And you're like,
Mhm.
hey, you know what? I know you guys will figure it out. And
I love
with no time, they do figure it out because we trust them. We've allowed this feeling to empower them. The
that.
other thing is don't underestimate family time. So, yes, one on one time, but I am a big believer in creating family traditions that bring you all together. And I love during those traditions to often have them name what is one thing you love about every single family member,
I love that.
right? This brings this again sense of belonging, sense of safety, sense of dignity. My brother, yes, we have these moments, or my sister, but look at her. She just said she loves that I, you know, write a note and leave it in her bedroom.
Yeah.
So having those family units, if you can have it once a week where you all come together for a tradition. We have Tuesday tea time, but it could be anything. I say any tradition is an amazing tradition as long as it works for everyone in your family. And during those moments, allow your kids and everybody to verbalize the things that you love about each other.
I love that. It's funny, I saw it somewhere on social media, and for New Year's this year, we started a new tradition where we did, like, a New Year's Eve reward ceremony, basically, and each of the kids shared one thing about their siblings that they were really proud of them for, like, accomplishing in the year, and I made, like, little medals, and they stood up for, like, the award ceremony, and they had to guess who I was reading about as I was reading them. It was like, it gives me chill. It was the most precious thing I've ever done, and I was like, "I will do this until the day I die, every year," and this is just reminding me that, like, it doesn't have to be a once a year thing. Like, we do pizza Fridays and movie night, and, like, family movie night, and we rotate who gets to pick, and I feel like I can just, before we start, be like, "Everybody say one thing that you love or are proud of them for about this week." So I love that reminder. That's really
100%.
I love that.
100%.
Okay, so let's transition into more about friendships and relationships outside the home. So, I think one thing that is challenging in parenting is that sibling relationships are often very different than friendships. Like in the outside world, there's often less immediate acceptance. Like your siblings are your siblings. Like in our case, our kids are close together. They really don't remember a time when they weren't together, you know? Um, and I feel like there are different ways of moving through conflict and finding a resolution and just really even beginning to understand like what makes a good friend. And I know you have an amazing resource on this one called the Friendship Lab, which we will absolutely also link in the episode notes.
Right.
Um,
Actually, right here.
oh my God, I love it. Amazing. So how can we start the conversation with our children about what makes someone a good friend and how to be a good friend?
I love this question. And I feel what always anchors me when I want to talk about something that could be tricky is bringing in curiosity and wonder. And a tradition that I started about 10 years ago, where around a dinner table or on car rides, I would have a jar and I would write specific questions, we'll put it in the jar, and then the kids would pick and we would all go around the table and answer these questions. Right now, we do it during Tea Time Tuesday, but it's something that we've done for almost 10 years. And when it came to friendships, sometimes I intentionally wrote questions about friendship and we would take and ask. And what's so beautiful about this is that it is no pressure, right? It's not a moment of teaching. I'm not lecturing. I'm not, saying these are the things or those are the things you need to be careful of. It's about us listening to each other. Things like, what is something that a friend did to you once that you really loved? Or how does it make you feel when sometimes you're talking to a friend and your friend ignores you? And then kind of going around the table, just sharing your thoughts. And how we meet those answers is by being curious. Oh, tell me more about that. What did you mean when you said so and so? Or that's so interesting. I never really thought about it that way. So here what we're doing is we're opening up the space to be able to share our experiences. And for us as adults, we can share what we really want them to hear
Yeah.
through this conversation like. The other beautiful way that I absolutely love and I try to use all the time is through stories or movies. So if we're watching a movie, after the movie, I can say something like, you know, those two friends, how do you think their relationship was? Do you think that, Ted really liked what Amanda did? Why do you think? And what do you think he could have done better? Like having these
I
conversations
love that. Wow.
brings up this, awareness piece like, oh, relationships are worth pausing and thinking about. So it's
Uh,
such a beautiful way to talk about friendship and instead of sitting down and saying, okay, here you go. We're going to, talk about friendships through the checklist. It's more
yeah.
natural, weaved into our everyday.
I love that. I also feel like there's so much power, like, I've even noticed with my oldest, who is almost 8, that, like, when we're watching movies now or TV, like, she has so many more questions about, like,
Mm,
their body language and, like, she'll be like, "Is he angry?" And I'm like, "Do you think he's angry?" Like, she's noticing things that were not there before, and even, like, at times my husband tends to he has a very, like, assertive, strong voice, and there are times, even for me, where I'm like, "Why are you yelling at me?" He's like, I'm just talking, I just talk like this, like, we've been together for 16 years, I just talk like this." But for her, she'll when he talks to her like that, she'll be like, Are you mad at me?" And I'm like, "Ask those questions, ask if you don't understand, if you're not sure, because we're not mad, we're just talking to you," and it's really interesting, so I feel like that feels like a really powerful way to even start to talk to her about that, so I
mhm,
love that. I love
mhm,
that so
mhm.
so how is there a way to really help them differentiate between unkind friends versus friends who are just learning the same things that you are, and you're gonna have those natural conflicts? Because that is one thing that is challenging when I'm, like, listening to these stories, and, of course, like, my gut reaction is to be like, "They're not a good friend to you, like, don't be friends with them," but I'm like, "Maybe they're also just 7 and trying to figure it out, and maybe my daughter is misunderstanding and, misinterpreting things and feeling sensitive to them." So,
Yeah.
is there concrete ways that we can help support our kids in understanding really, like, a a truly not good friend that we need to stay away from versus a friend that is learning beside us how to be a friend?
I think the most important tool and skill to teach them is being able to tune in to how they are feeling, right? I think the core message that we really want to plant in our kids is it's important for them to notice whether some people make you feel good or bad about yourself. And you
Mm,
don't have to stay around people who make you feel bad. And it's not your responsibility to make others feel good, right? So we're bringing in together the core, which is teaching them to really trust their gut feeling, their internal compass, which a
mm,
lot of us learn to ignore. Oh, you're
mm.
probably just like, overthinking it, right? But when
Yeah,
we try to build on that gut feeling, something doesn't feel right, and I'm going to trust it. It's like us telling our kids, you know what? I might not understand, but I believe you,
I love
right?
that.
This is so powerful. You might say, pay attention to how your body feels when you're with different kids, right? Do you feel good? Or is there a kind of like ickiness in their presence? How
Mm,
does it feel to be around them? For older kids, you can say something like real friends make you feel like you belong, that you're seen, that you're respected, right? Fake friends make you question whether you're good enough, right? We
mm.
really want our kids to be able to think inwards on how things are feeling inside of them. But I also like to add the element of I want you to always keep in mind that some people might show a behavior, but the true feeling inside is different,
I love it.
right? Hurt people,
Mhm.
right? So if a person is being mean, it doesn't mean, I'm going to be with them, but I can hold space for something must be going on for that person.
Mhm.
And I can still hold space for my boundaries and how I am feeling. And it moves away this, labeling some kids as being, you know, good kids and bad kids. And instead, I'm holding space for this person that maybe doesn't have anybody in his life or her life that holds compassion for them, that holds
Mm,
space for them. But that doesn't mean I have to be that person. I can still set a boundary.
I love that. What you're saying is making me also think of the other side of this, which I had we had had a little bit of a conversation on Instagram stories a few weeks ago where there was a situation with my oldest and I was just sharing that, like, while it was really hard for me to hear it from her, for some reason something hit me and I was like, I've never thought about what it feels like to be the parent of a child who is bullying. Especially when you are aware of it and trying to create an environment where, like, you don't understand, like, why is this happening, you know? And someone had responded to it and said, "I'm that parent. Like, my child is a bully and I don't know why, and I'm mortified and I don't know how to help them." And I was like, "Wow, imagine." And when you were just saying this, it's like, imagine adults even had the ability to do that. Like, how powerful is it to give our kids the tools that most adults don't even have to be like, "You know what? You're being really mean to me right now, but I'm pretty sure it's not about me. I'm pretty sure it's about you." Like,
Hmm. A
I
hundred
don't know.
percent. A hundred
Yeah.
percent. And this actually shifts so much for me as a person too. So for me to be able to teach that to my child at an early age, whoa, how powerful is that? Hey, not everybody's gonna like you too.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that
Yeah.
was really powerful for me to be able to realize and accept and embrace not everybody's made to be friends. And that's totally fine. But if somebody is showing behavior, always behavior is at the tip of the iceberg. We have no clue what's happening underneath,
Yeah.
right? That is the only way we can hold compassion to everybody around us because we can really walk and be so judgmental. What is that
Mhm.
going to benefit? It's not going to help the other person change. If we're always
Mhm.
pointing finger at that specific child, and sadly, our school systems do, you know, isolate that child who's being mean, who's being a bully, but that child is probably the one who needs the most compassion.
Yeah. Yeah.
How can we shift it? Say, hey, I'm going to still not play with that child because they are really being mean, but how can the adults within the system help and support? Because there's definitely a need that is going unmet. And the
Yeah.
behavior is that is just communicating it.
Totally. Totally. So, what are some of the simple ways, because even going building off of that, we obviously can't protect our kids from every challenging social moment, and it's
Yep.
obviously important for them to learn to move through those situations without us there. Even
Yeah.
things like feeling left out, being teased, getting pulled into gossip or peer pressure, or navigating situations that have really hurt their confidence. What are some simple ways that we can teach our kids to handle those situations with courage and kindness while still holding their own boundaries with good friends and with friends that are not being
So
truly
good.
good.
Yeah. I think it goes back to holding space to feelings, and especially the feelings that feel uncomfortable is not dangerous. You are allowed to feel, intensely irritated. If you're feeling left out, if you're feeling like you're teased, if you're feeling unsure, doesn't mean something is wrong. It means you're a human, you're in a relationship, and having a very normal experience of irritation because these girls are talking together and they've left me out, right?
Mm,
When kids don't panic about the feeling that is showing up, they're more able to respond with clarity instead of like, collapsing or people pleasing. Like, whoo,
mm,
I'm feeling this type of jealousy or I'm feeling this feeling inside of me. Okay, it's normal to feel that way. So I think first, starting with holding on to all of the feelings as being normal and as being communicating something to you. Then comes, okay, let's separate the feeling from the action. I can feel irritated and still set a boundary and say, no, I don't like that. Right? I can feel the pressure and still say, I'm going to walk away. Right? I can feel uncomfortable and still be kind. So separating the feeling does not mean I need to act on it, but I can make a choice. I have a choice here that I can make. The third thing that we can do is actually equipping our kids with simple language to be able to set boundaries outside of the moment. And the best way to do this is through role play and it works with teens. So it's not only for younger
Mhm.
kids, it also works with teens where I put a jar, put different scenarios that are related to their age, their grade, maybe things that I've been hearing around. I put them into the jar, we pick them up, and they start acting out. How would they respond?
Wow.
Okay. When we give them this practice space, it's so much easier to retrieve it in the moment. Because, oh, yeah, like I'm familiar with this. And the more we practice, we all know, right? The more we practice, we will get better at setting a boundary.
Yeah.
Um, so these are kind of like I would say there's definitely more things that we can do, but I feel like equipping them with the language and being able to differentiate the feeling and the action is really, really important. And I think what I would like to add here is that it's not a sign of weakness to reach out for help, right? You can speak up, go up to the teacher, go to a trusted adult, come to me and tell me, and you can get the support that you need when you're having these difficult times. You don't have to do it on your own.
I love it. It's funny as you were describing the role playing, I was thinking about the fact that, like, it's very difficult for me. I avoid conflict with
Yeah.
the majority of people in my life, but I can have a mean argument in the shower in my head afterwards where I'm like, all the things that I wish I had said in the moment, that I wish that I had remembered that, like, were good points, and I feel like to have again, to be given that skill as a child, to be able to know in the moment what you wanna say and, like, center yourself and stay true, like, that's what an incredible skill. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. I love that. So let's wrap this up with that you have shared so many incredible, valuable points and information. Is there anything else that is like the top skill that you're like, instill this in your child, or that will, a skill that will support them the most in navigating social situations, making and being a good friend, just being a good human in general?
I think embracing the messiness of relationships and life,
I love that.
not looking for a perfect friend, a perfect parent, a perfect home, right? I think embracing that real relationships include conflict, include misunderstandings, include disappointment, right? Your kids need to hear friends and friendships are hard sometimes. Relationships are hard sometimes.
Mhm.
Balancing what you want with someone and what they want and speaking up and listening and doing what feels right for you while also being flexible. All of this is really tricky, right? There's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with you when you're feeling these big emotions. And when we embrace this messiness and the idea of continuous practice, ugh, I think I could have done this differently, right? I am in this space of growth and really holding on to reality instead of fantasy. The fantasy
Mm.
of us seeing our kids always playing together and never arguing.
Mhm.
The fantasy of a best friend who is always supportive, who's always knows exactly what words to say, right? A parent who never messes up. I think if we can take anything from today's episode is to be able to embrace messiness and the imperfection of the reality of what we are living in and embodying the idea and the mindset of I can try a different way next time. I am practicing.
I love it. Oh my gosh. You are just the most incredible human ever. I this was incredible and so helpful, and I know it's gonna be helpful for so many, and I know that so many are gonna wanna find your resources. So can you please tell us one more time where people can find you? We'll link everything in the episode notes, but where can people find all of your incredible resources?
So you can find me on Instagram at drhannah.peacewithinhome. And for all of the resources, you can find them at www.peacewithinhome.com/shop. And you'll be able to find all of the resources that we talked about today, and of course, other ones too.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, those resources include the Friendship Lab, the sibling conflict. You have a ton of other really incredible ones as well, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here, and we will see you guys next time on another episode of More Than Milestones.